Good day, class. I'm Architect Adolf Vincent E. Vigor. I'll be your instructor for Building Tech 4. So before we begin with our formal lecture, let me introduce to you a brief background of myself. So I'm an alumni of this university back in 2007, and I finished my postgraduate diploma in project management with merit at the University of Liverpool. And I have been practicing for more than 10 years already as an architect. 5 years of that I spent working for an international project management consultancy firm in Saudi Arabia. And I'm also a full member of the Royal Institute of British Architects of the United Kingdom. Okay, so before we begin, um, let us first discuss a brief introduction of what is specification writing. So it's just some of the materials I got from RIBA. Okay, so your learning outcome should be what is a specification, why write a specification, the types of specification, developing quality specification, and the future of specifications. So, according to the Royal Institute of British Architects, specification is an essential document for construction projects, helping to ensure that the constructed entity is of suitable quality and meets expected design requirements. This article has been prepared to introduce the purpose and use of specifications on construction projects, describe different types and ways of structuring specifications, and will provide some good practice guidelines for those developing specifications. The article will also discuss future aspects of specifications and how changes in the construction industry may affect the type and format of specifications. Okay, so let's begin. So, what is a specification? So, specifications may mean different things to different people. The word can be used to describe as a verb, to specify, or to describe a process, or as a noun, a specification to describe a product. When making decisions every day about different goods and services that we wish to purchase, we are actively specifying. For example, when ordering a sandwich at a delicatessen, there may be a number of options. First, the type of bread, whether you want the bread to be buttered, types of fillings, and whether the sandwich should be cut in half. By specifying these requirements clearly, you should end up with a sandwich that is tasty and meets your approval. So the process of making decisions and specifying individual requirements is also integral to good design. When determining and communicating the type, quality, and form of materials and components is pivotal to achieving effective construction. This process may be informal and involve the production of a more formal document. So, class, when you go to Jollibee or McDonald's, when you order your meal, you specify something. So you specify a product that suits your taste and your needs, and the quality that you're looking for. Okay, so that's primarily the most basic analogy of what the specification is. Now, as future architects, mm, part of your job would be to specify many requirements about your design. Okay, so specifications a noun describes a written description or a type of document. Again, we use written specifications every day. For example, when buying a mobile phone, or as we look at different brands and models, we may require different information such as battery life, the operating system, the quality of camera, and can view of these details in written specification. So, for example, class, when you purchase your computers, there's a specific specification that can cater to AutoCAD and SketchUp. Okay? For example, when you want a computer that can handle a 3D design, should consider it should be at least i7, minimum of 2 GB video card, etc. So that's how you specify. On construction projects, the design requirements are typically presented as drawings and in document form. Example, the project specification. The project specification can be defined as a document, the main purpose of which is to define the materials and products to be used, the standard or work required, any performance requirements, and the conditions under which the work is to be executed. The project specification should ideally be developed as an integral part of the design process, and a fully detailed specification should be issued as part of a complete design, should be part of the contract documentation. Okay, class, just like your working drawings, which you have studied in building tech 3, your project specifications, they are part of the contract documents of your project. So it's really important that it should be written in such a way that it could be easily understood by the owner and the contractors. Okay? As well as describing what a specification is, it is also worth noting that what a specification does not include. A project specification is a written description. As such, in most cases should be include graphical or geometric information. This is best represented in drawings and models. The specification generally does not include information on quantities of materials or products. This is better expressed in schedules or on bill of quantities. Okay, so your specification class, it's not included there the quantities of materials or products because it has a different document which is called your bill of quantities or bill of materials, which we will discuss after our midterms. Okay, so how to write a specification. Now let's read this one example. In 2007, the owner of a luxury house in Jersey ordered the demolition of the building. It had been 5 years earlier, it had been built 5 years earlier, and had sat unused since then. The building had failed to meet the owner's expectations and requirements, and he was disappointed with the quality of the materials used in the final design. Following a long trial, McLean versus Waltham Contractors Limited, 2007, the owner sued the contractor, the architect, the structural engineer, and the project manager. The case illustrates a catalog of errors for a typical construction project, but one of the significant issues raised by the judge was the lack of project documentation. Okay? Take note of this last project documentation. In particular, a written specification. The client had stipulated a particularly high quality of timber to be used in the building. When the work was checked, the client found out that the quality of the timber did not meet this requirement. As there is no written specification for the project, the architect was found to be liable for this failing and damages were sought. This is an extreme example of a building project gone wrong, but it helps demonstrate the importance of a specification to define the materials and workmanship of the building. We ensure that the client's requirements are properly documented and met, and as protection for the designer for poor quality work or materials. Okay, so this case, in particular, stipulates how important specifications are as part of the contract documents of your project. Specifications last should be presented early in the design stage to the owner so that there is concurrence already the owner and agreement to the stipulated materials which will be used. In actual practice last year in the Philippines, what we do is that aside from the architect cycling the specifications, the owner will also sign within the document so that it would mean that he is in agreement with what is written there. So those are okay because it will be a big problem if the expectations of the owner is not met. For example, you are building a two-story house. Okay. Now there is no specification for the fixtures. If there are no specification for the fixtures, it will leave a gap of it will leave some sort of misunderstanding because the owner might expect a higher brand to be used, but the budget will only allow a limited type of product which can be used for the implementation. So that is why class, as early as during the design process, you already have a written agreement with the owner to the type of materials which will be utilized for the undertaking. Okay? So, specifications are not only used in times of dispute, however. There are a number of reasons why they are essential document and source of information on construction projects. So a specification alongside drawings, models, and other project document is an essential source of information for the contractor in determining performance requirements, process, and a price for the work. The specification can also be used to assist in ordering correct materials and products, in particular those products which may be extended lead or ordering times. So there are products last which you must order 2 to 3 months ahead before it will arrive. Okay? And ensure that they arrive on site in good time. The specification should be regularly referenced and actively used on site to ensure that the components and systems are correct and the appropriate performance and quality standards are used for assessing the quality of the completed work. The specification is also an important source for maintaining and managing the completed building. The specification should involve and refine as a construction process and should accurately describe the final construction. This is a tip this is typically referred to as built specification. The type of specification will provide facility managers with essential information on all the products and materials used in the building and is a useful resource for maintaining and servicing the building. Okay? So there are three types of specification. First is performance specification. So a specific performance outcomes, thermal, acoustic, waterproofing, durability, and of a building element, system, or component are determined by the designer. The designer may additionally specify rules or recognize standards against which is the performance required is evaluated. With a type of specification, the contractor is required to make decisions about the specific materials and to propose design solutions to meet the proposed performance requirements. Performance requirements may be expressed as quantitative measurement requirements. Okay? For example, the maximum U value for window or may typically reference a certified standard. External fire performance of a roofing, performance specifications are to be used where the contractor or specialist manufacturer has responsibility for the detailed design. Okay? So performance specification plus class, these are usually based, typically you use codes. So in order to make a good performance specifications, we will reverse with a different type of codes. For example, ASTM, NFPA, etc. Okay. Then you have also prescriptive. Full details for the products, materials, and workmanship standards required to complete the work and construct the entity are provided by the designer. The specification does not restrict the contractor to specific proprietary products. Instead, they are able to select appropriate items or products that meet the specification requirements. This form of specification is appropriate when specifying functional products that may be available from a number of manufacturers. Example, plasterboard, concrete, blocks, and metal cladding. These products are normally specified in accordance with the recognized standards, clay masonry units to BS EN 771 or a certified or by third parties or certified by third party organization. Example, the British Board of Agreement. By way of example, a prescriptive specification for masonry wall would typically indicate the type and appropriate product standard for the blocks, bricks, thermal insulation to be used. In addition to the standard of workmanship can describe when the contractor could also decide on a specific manufacturer's products and methods of assembly. Then you have proprietary specifications are those that name specific branded products. So these specifications may be developed by a designer with reference to specific brands or products, or by a manufacturer in response to a request to satisfy a performance specification. Okay? So in the three types of specifications class, there is an example for performance. Example, so write the door set. So standard to BSEN 14351-1, the fire integrity should be 30 minutes. So so it basically talks about the performance. Okay? Then you have the prescriptive, for example, for clay brick. Type HD. Size is 215 by 102 by 65 mm, but it does not state the brand or how to make those bricks. Then you have proprietary. Wash basin. The manufacturer is Armitage Shanks. Product reference Sandringham 21. Okay, so these are the three types. So in your project, in your future projects, you may select the most appropriate one. But in order to do that, class, you have to be well versed with the different types of products available in the market. Aside from that, you have to understand the different codes or minimum standards that are set already in the industry. So, developing quality specifications. Understanding and learning to produce good quality specifications can take time, and there are a number of common mistakes that are frequently made. The section describes some good practice guidelines to help avoid these mistakes. Okay? One is cite once and in the right place. So, what does it mean? One of the major issues with project documentation is the extent to which information is repeated or duplicated. This can cause unnecessary updating and coordinating the documentation, with the additional risk of generating conflicting information. To reduce unnecessary duplication, ensure that all members of the project team are aware of the responsibility for writing different parts of the specification. Where the specification is cross-reference on drawings, pricing documents, or site documentation, use a simple clause, number, and title reference. Do not repeat specification information on drawings, schedules, and other documents. So, in order to avoid this repetition, you have to say it once and you should say it in the right place. Okay? Next is use of language. The language used in specification should be clear, concise, and easy to understand. Use short sentences and, where possible, reduce the use of overly technical terms, abbreviations, or ambiguous terminology. Avoid the use of vague or subjective terms that are difficult to measure or determine. Okay? So, example, use high quality roofing materials. Okay? So, what does high quality mean? Okay, when you say high quality roofing materials, it could refer to a lot of things. So you have to be very specific, and for that, you should have knowledge about the different codes. Example, roofing materials to BSEN 1234. It's just an example class. Okay? Or ASTM standards or NFPA standards. Handrail fixed neatly and securely to the wall. So what does neatly and securely how? I mean, so how can it be defined? So you have to write those things in accordance with a certain code or standard. So these are the times when you must cross-reference with the different codes. Okay? Next is specify outcome, not process. So although it sometimes feel necessary to describe the process for executing work, it is the contractor's responsibility to determine the most appropriate method for installing fitting materials, components, or products. The specifier is solely concerned with the outcome, a contractor with the process. So always remember this class. As a specifier, your concern is its final outcome. Then let the contractor take care with the process. Okay? There may be additional risks and responsibilities where the specifier elects to specify the process, and there are workmanship issues. Okay? So let us compare the two examples below. So clean all leftover building residues from accessory faceplates using proprietary cleaners and lint-free cloth. So that's the specification of a process. This one. Accessory faceplates free from any traces of plaster, grout, paint, or similar. So this is a specification of outcome. The specifier defines what is required. It is the contractor who determines how the accessory faceplates are cleaned. So number two class is much better because it is much safer also legally because you specify only the outcome. No, okay. Legal requirements. So there is usually no need to state legal building regulatory requirements in the specification. Where there is a regulatory requirement, example, water supply fittings meet water regulations, and there is no need to specify this. It is the contractor's responsibility to ensure that the work complies with any legal requirements. Okay? Address only the contractor. Do not mention or address subcontractors, specialists, or other parties in the specification. The contract is between the client and the contractor, and as such, the specification should be directed to the contractor. Okay, this is important, class, to remember. It is the responsibility of the contractor to decide who does what on site and whether to provide specification and distribute this information to different parties. Next is the visual appearance of the specification. Ensure that the completed specification presented is neat, professional looking, and visually appealing. A messy specification suggests lack of care, hurried presentation, and may discourage people from reading it. Simple techniques can help to improve appearance. Ensure that a consistent, legible font type and size is used throughout the document. Use a simple, consistent header and footer style. Include a table of contents and page numbers to ensure easy navigation. So a well-formatted specification and table contains suitable headers and footers. So this is an example class. So it just means that when you do your specification, it should be neat, legible, and easy to reference or look into. Okay. Now let's look into the future trends of specifications. Okay. Now, one of the this is long class. I won't be reading this anymore. But the future trend of specification is geared toward building information modeling. Okay. So when you do BIM or building information modeling, for example in Revit, when you do your plans and drawings, the specifications are also generated once you have set the program already. Okay. So because of these rapid changes in technology, BIM makes it a lot easier to search for different types of materials which will be used in the design process. Okay. So that's the future trend specification. Not only specification but also design, architecture in general. So you already have now a lot of technologies available, such as augmented reality, building information modeling. Okay. So a building information model with a link specification information. So when you do your 3D, you not only generate your uh, construction drawings, but also the building information about a specific where specifications are also developed. Okay. Now, class, commonly in the Philippines, we have 16 divisions for your specification. Okay. Bef- uh, after once we after midterms, we're going to discuss about estimates already. So division 1 to 16 will be covered during the first half of the semester. So when you say division 1, these are the general requirements. Division 2, site construction. Division 3, concrete. Division 4, masonry. Division 5, metals. Division 6, wood and plastics. Division 7, thermal moisture protection. Division 8, doors and windows. Division 9, finishes. Division 10, specialties. Division 11, equipment. Division 12, furnishings. Division 13, special construction. Division 14, conveying systems. Division 15, mechanical. And Division 16, electrical. So it is listed, all the parts of the different divisions are listed here. So, and also we have the different brands used here in the Philippines. So I'm going to upload this in our chat group along with our first activity for the week. If you have any questions, class, feel free to contact me anytime. Okay? For, I guess for the next couple of weeks, maybe for this week, we're going to I'm going to make you specify up to division 3, which is concrete. Okay, okay class. So that's our introductory lesson to specifications. If you have, again, if I repeat, if you have any further inquiries, questions, I can be reached anytime by my Facebook Messenger or through our uh, group page. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask because I'm here to guide you. Okay? So, see you next week. And good luck mm, with your first activity. Okay? So the details will be posted later on our group page. Okay, class?